I want to bring in Professor Brahmachalani into this conversation. Professor, could this also be a reason that, no, we are not getting into a war-like situation, but we are allowing and making our citizens get ready for a war-like situation because India is going to escalate. There will be, some military action. Now, is this because India suspects that there could be a counter-retaliatory action from Pakistan, therefore keep your population and your citizenry ready?
You're right. Conducting security drills is part and parcel of enhanced defenses. Because India doesn't face a normal state. Pakistan is not a normal state. It's a state that actually can be called a rogue state. It's a state where the military and the ISI agency are not accountable to the government in power. They've never been accountable to any civilian government. So it's an abnormal state, a state whose very foundational basis is based on hatred toward India. And that state can do anything. And that's the reason why enhanced preparedness, including in the form of civil defense drills, is essential for strengthening India's defenses.
All right. And, so Gaurav, is that the main reason? Because the government response till now has been that it's going to be never seen like before action. But with what we are picking up from the government sources very clearly seems to suggest it's going to be limited action. We are not getting into a war-like situation. There will be never seen before action, but it will be limited. Yet we are preparing our citizens for what could be a retaliatory action.
So when you look at Pakistan, like Professor Brahmachalani and Sandeep were pointing out, abnormal state continues to bleed India. How do we react? Either we can open up the LC and keep firing artillery like was done in 2001, 2 and all along. And symbolically your people are satisfied, fine, some action has been taken, but you're not safe. You can do an Uri surgical strike. Yes, some message gone across, but you're not exactly safe. Or when after the parliament attack, you did the Operation Parakram. 10 months you were at borders, but no war. Sends across a message, but you're not safe. You do a Balakot. Rest of the country is safe, but not Jammu and Kashmir. That continues to bleed. So now it has to be something more than Balakot. Do keep in mind, Preeti, in this entire war matrix, there are 44 rungs of escalation. For these 44 rungs, we are on rung 3 right now. Pakistan
so we're nowhere close to war now.
We're nowhere close to a nuclear war. Pakistan
just 44 is nuclear.
And beyond, and complete annihilation of people. But right now, we are on stage 3, where they've used non-state actors to bleed you. Your skirmishes
What stage is a full-fledged war?
Stage 5 is full-fledged conventional war.
So we are 2 steps behind, Sandeep, from a full-fledged conventional war?
It seems like, Preeti, and this is something that we'll have to judge by, how the government of India responds now to Pakistan's cross-border terror attack, and whether there is going to be some kind of escalation dominance mechanism that's built into that kind of an attack. An escalation dominance mechanism would imply a strike that is so overwhelming that the adversary does not have a chance to retaliate to that. And that is something that we've done in 16, we've done in 2019 as well. So this is something that we'll have to watch out for. It all depends on what path the government of India chooses to strike at Pakistan. And that will determine the next rungs in the ladder that Gaurav just outlined.
I want to bring in Professor Brahmachalani back into this conversation. We're going to, lose him in the next 5 minutes. He needs to go somewhere. But Professor, to weigh in on this, India right now not looking at what is a full-fledged traditional war, far from it, but what India anticipates could be the counter-reaction to whatever India is planning.
Well, a full-fledged war is not in the offing because there is no broad military mobilization in India, no movement of troops and heavy weaponry to the border. So what we're looking at is a surgical option that is somewhat overwhelming and helps to impose deterrent costs on Pakistan. But I think one point that we need to bear in mind that under successive governments, as Gaurav was pointing out, India has faced major Pakistan-sponsored terrorist attacks. Yet government after government has hesitated to impose tangible costs on Pakistan. So the more powerful country has behaved and acted behaved and acted as if it's the weaker state vis-a-vis Pakistan. Imagine if Pakistan's power situation was equal to that of India. It would have inflicted far greater harm on India. But this weaker state, much smaller state, has been bleeding India for decades now. And today we should be asking a fundamental question. Whatever India does under Prime Minister Modi, will it represent a paradigm shift from the approach thus far? If it represents a paradigm shift, then of course, this will mean a major challenge for Pakistan. But looking ahead, effectively countering Pakistan's decades-long cross-border terrorism requires a sustained, coordinated, and multi-pronged strategy. What happens is that after every major attack, we have a debate. We debate what options India has, and then the government and the country go back to business as usual. This time it has to change. This time we have to recognize that the only way to fight Pakistan's terrorism is through a sustained, coordinated, and multi-pronged strategy. Instead of Pakistan bleeding India, we should start bleeding Pakistan now on a continuing basis.
One quick question, Professor, before we let you go. So this deterrence that you're speaking of, that India clearly needs to build with never-seen-before action, could possibly result in what we are actually preparing for now back home?
Yes, we are preparing to impose deterrent costs on Pakistan, costs that are so strong, so powerful, that we'll be able to buy peace for some time at least, if not forever. And to prepare for this scenario, we are building up international and diplomatic pressure on Pakistan. We are strengthening border security at the moment. We are engaging, as you have pointed out, civil defense drills as part of strengthened defenses. And while maintaining strong military deterrence, we are planning targeted operations that will rely on precise intelligence, and they will rely on execution that is done in such a way as to prevent major escalation. At the same time, we are also looking at covert operations with plausible deniability, even as targeted strikes are being considered.
All right, Professor, appreciate you joining us. Thank you.